I've been waiting all night just for this.
Amen, sister.
Actually, it's true. And that was hilarious because I didn't mean to say that, but too late. It's already been said. Hey, you are listening to another, if nothing else, completely off the cuff and full of fun episode of the Top 5 podcast. And I'm Kris McPeak, and we are hanging out today with my favorite co-host, Annie Pruitt, from the great state of Kansas.
Hola.
Hola, como? Wow, that's pretty impressive. And that's as far as my Espanol goes for today. That's not true. Because of the number of times I have watched Pulp Fiction, I know how to ask where the shoe store is.
Oh, ¿dónde es zapateria?
Zapateria. Very excellent pronunciation.
Yes.
Annie, how are you? What's new in your world?
Just same old, kids in high school trying to stay current with what they're watching and listening to, and then, not trying to be an old fuck. So there's that.
Hey, there is that. There is something to be said for not trying to be an old fuck. And which is one of the reasons we do this show, because it is guaranteed no old fuckiness.
That's right. I will tell you, it occurred to me, I reached that point about 2 years ago where I ceased to be the cool mom.
Please.
That's a very bitter pill to swallow. However, I'm still a fun mom. I'm just not a cool mom. There's a difference.
How is there a difference? That probably deserves a show right there in itself.
Really
five differences between being a fun mom and a cool mom.
There you go. Yeah, I would love to know, because I would totally.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
is there also then such a thing as being a fun aunt and a cool aunt, or does that not matter because I'm not the mom?
Oh, yeah, no, it doesn't matter. You're fun and cool. Yeah.
I'm fun and cool because I am not the mom.
Yeah, you get all the perks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, in that case, I'm very sorry you have ceased to be a cool mom. But if I had my way, and if I had 5 additional minutes with your children, I would remind them myself of all the ways I think you are a cool mom. Because, I mean, shoot, you're pretty fucking cool, Annie Pruitt. It's true.
I do my best. Yes.
Well, your best is brilliant. So this is kind of a double episode because we felt as though we needed to do these 2 lists together.
Yes.
And Annie, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about the top 5 best movie remakes and the top 5 worst movie remakes. Now, not sequels, but full up, just straight up remakes.
Right. And I want to put a point of clarity on that, because I'm going to admit that of my top 5 worst, 3 of them I have not seen. And that is only because the notion of remaking these movies so preposterous to me. And because of my previous experience with 2 of the movies in my top 5, I just decided that I did not want to offer up any more of my time than I absolutely needed to. So that might certainly concern somebody enough to want to send us an email, Annie.
Absolutely.
And say, Annie, Kris, what the fuck? You're crazy. So anyway, shall we start with worst and work our way back to best?
Yeah, let's do that. I like it.
Okay. And then you want to go first, or should I go first?
So we're starting with worst. My number 5 worst.
Okay. Here we go.
The remake of the 1971 Willy Wonka movie, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, from 2005.
And I am giving you 2 enthusiastic thumbs up for that choice.
Yes. So,
oh, my Lord.
I thought that Tim Burton and Johnny Depp could do no wrong, but I was wrong. They just, and as much as like some of the kid actors were really good, it missed the mark completely with the awkwardness of Willy Wonka. There was nothing warm or, charismatic about the Johnny Depp version. So I like literally just hated it from beginning to end. I did actually watch it the whole way through and just nothing about it hit me at all. I hated it.
Yeah. Hated it. Echo those sentiments completely.
Huh?
All righty. So my number 5 was and again, did not see the remake. However, the idea that one would feel like they needed to remake Point Break. It just sits in my stomach like a pit. First of all, let's talk about the fact that Keanu Reeves has made some pretty iconic films and has had some pretty amazing iconic film roles. And Johnny Utah is just one of those roles. And then you had Patrick Swayze, who was kind of coming off Roadhouse-ish and Dirty Dancing. And so he had this, bad boy, sexy bad boy thing going on. But
you can't recast Bodhi.
You just absolutely can't. So and Catherine Bigelow, like this was one of her early films before she became the first female to win a Best Directing Academy Award. Yeah, it is one of the best action films out there, particularly from the 90s. So just my question is why? And fuck you. Yeah, that's the only thing I have to say.
But I totally agree. Yeah.
All righty.
So I'm going to echo. I watched the first 15 minutes of it and I just could not, I couldn't watch anymore. So a remake of the 1990 Flatliners, the 2017 Flatliners, terrible. Could not do it. Could not watch it. It was horrible. I mean, you can't, I'm sorry.
Is that your number 4?
That's my number 4. Yeah. You can't remake the chemistry that Julia and Kiefer and Kevin Bacon had in the original movie, and whatever cast they just kind of lumped together for the 2017 version. It just didn't work at all. So like I said, I watched about 15 minutes of it and I gave up.
Well, how ironic that my number 4 is also the 2017 version of Flatliner.
Wow. Okay.
Two great minds thinking alike, as always, because you and I, again, these were movies. Some of these movies really like identified our older adolescents, and particularly at this period too. And I want Flatliners was maybe 1990, and I don't remember when.
Yeah.
Okay, so you weren't at school with me yet, but came a time where we were in school together that was completely aligned, and one of our favorite things to do on the weekends was to go see movies. And it was with you that I did my first theater jump, and that just kind of became a thing. So there's a whole crop of late 80s, early 90s movies that I define as Kris and Annie movies, only because we were in school together when they were happening. But
absolutely.
I saw in the movie theater. It's one, I love the way Doug Ferguson, who has also been on the show, explains like, if I'm flipping through channels because I can't sleep one night, if that movie's on, the remote gets tossed. And I'm like, okay, that is it exactly. If that movie is on, or Point Break for that matter, I'm gonna sit and finish it, because those movies to me are highly entertaining. And I will also say that the casting in Flatliners, and people, say what you want about it. Yeah, it's Joel Schumacher. Yeah, it's kind of a gimmick movie. It did scare the crap out of me.
Oh,
there were lots of jump scares, as you like to describe them, the jump scares. But then this whole concept of, can you go back and rewrite wrongs that you've done to others? And what does that feel like? And then when you try to do it, what happens and the results of that? And so I think there's a nifty message to be had in this movie. So I don't know. That's my thought. So yeah, assholes, why remake a good thing? I just don't.
And I'll say the last thing about the original, the 1990 versions, Oliver Platt is actually probably the best thing about that movie, because he's freaking horrible.
He's so funny.
Love him, and I've never, like, everything I've seen him in, I absolutely love him. So
yeah,
that. Yeah.
He's supposed to be Boner Man.
Yes.
All
right.
Just the one-liners that come out of his mouth are just exceptional.
Yep.
Oh my Lord.
All
Alrighty.
right. I'll go to my number 3. Probably the worst screenplay of all time. A remake of the 1954 Godzilla, the 1998 Godzilla with Matthew Broderick.
Okay.
It was
Yeah.
worst character development. So as a writer or somebody that like does any like remote attempt at creative writing, it's like the screenplay itself just makes you want to throw up in your mouth a little bit or a lot. It's the worst, and the worst character development, the worst storyline is just like, and I know I'm just like spouting off the same thing all the critics said because it got blasted by everybody. So yeah, but that was just that was horrible. I did actually watch it to the end, and 2 hours of my life I'll never get back. So
Never gonna get that back. No, it is
Godzilla.
quite unfortunate. All right, hang on. I lost my sheet. Where's my sheet? And yes, this will have to be edited out that I can't find my sheet.
Take your time.
Oh, what the Sam?
I'll tell you what's funny is while you're looking, you're thinking back to like bad monster movies was like Oliver Platt making his little appearance in Lake Placid. That was
okay. So that movie is one of those what Kris and I would call a guilty pleasure.
Yeah,
that's one of the ones. And Charles and I have watched Lake Placid together a number of times, just out of the sheer hilarity of it all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and Betty White just makes it all worthwhile. So
yes, I could not agree more. All right.
Yeah.
I'm having some struggles with my computer.
Okay.
And it doesn't want to refresh or bring me my list back. Everything is freezing and I don't like that feeling at all.
You want me to give you my number 2 while you're trying to fix?
No, it's okay. Let me, damn it. Like my mouse just isn't working anymore.
Or I could give you my honorable mentions.
All right, hang on.
Wait for that one. Go ahead and find, if you need to, we can pause if you need to.
Okay.
Don't you love technology? I blame
sometimes I love it and sometimes I really effing hate it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know, Duker, I see you over there. Little muttling boy.
Hi, Mr. Duke.
Oh, Auntie Annie says hi. Pumpkin.
Our Rebel boy's doing good. He had to have surgery last week.
Right. How did that go?
Good. They just like ACL surgery for a dog, but he's doing just fine.
All right. So I have decided to minimize this, and then I'm just going to go to the phone.
Okay.
Because I can pull all this stuff up on the phone just as easily and perhaps with less stress.
That works.
All right. So you 545544. So I just did my number 4, which was the same as your number 4, which is hilarious. And so now we are at your number 3.
Godzilla.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Horrifyingly bad.
Yeah.
Not horrifying in a good way.
Pretty friggin' awful.
Yes. So what's your number 3?
My number 3 is the 2002 remake of, I believe this was a French film originally. It is called Swept Away. The movie where, and again, I love Madonna. I will love Madonna forever, even though it's kind of freaking me out these days. But it was the movie finally that proves that Madonna cannot act. And I don't blame her completely because Guy Ritchie was her husband at the time. He directed this remake, but it was soulless. Is that a word? It was fumbly. It was just like a train wreck, but I can't look away. It's that awful. So yeah, I mean, Madonna's done some very fun things on the silver screen. Swept Away was not one of them. Swept Away was dirty, nasty toilet paper in a dirty, nasty diaper that's on a really dirty baby. I don't know. A really dumb analogy, but that's my number 3.
Absolute shit.
Uh-huh.
All right. So my number 2 is the 2018 remake of one of my favorite movies of all time, the 1987 Overboard. So they remade it in 2018 with Anna Faris, and it was a freaking abomination. It's the worst thing I've ever seen. Well, it's my number 2, so it's not the worst thing, but Overboard with Goldie and Kurt, like I will cry.
Oh my God.
I can watch over and over again.
Yes.
Laugh hard that my side hurts, and then cry like a baby at the end. Best rom-com of all time. So kind of a spoiler alert, if we do best rom-coms, we all know what my number 1 is going to be. But the fact that they tried to remake it with Anna Faris, and she's cute and she's funny and she's ditzy and blah, blah, blah. But God bless, that was horrible. So worst, awful rom-com remake ever.
I just didn't even realize that they had done that, which I probably intentionally blocked out so as not to have to deal with.
And I regret every moment.
Okay. Well, fair enough. And again, it's because of experiences like my number 2 and my number 1 that put me in that place where it's like, I should have known better. I should absolutely have known better. And really, we had this conversation when we talked about the movie musicals and the whole idea behind West Side Story and what Steven Spielberg feeling like he had to remake this. And why? Because there's already a version that's perfectly good, that is timeless, that doesn't need a remake, does not need a reboot. It's good enough. But my number 2 was the same as your number 5. So I went with the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And for a lot of the same reasons that you did, I was actually excited to see this movie because I thought, okay, these two together, this is going to be good because, Willy Wonka is a little dark but still whimsical. And between the two of them, I thought they could make that happen. But I could not get past Johnny Depp's super straight, shiny, slimy hair. And the prosthetic teeth were it was just awful. The mannerisms were wrong. I would have rather that they tried to at least pay homage to Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka. But that probably would have made it worse. So anyway, just, bad idea. Why'd you do it? Fucking asshole. Okay. This show is labeled E for explicit.
Yeah. So my honorable mention is a tie. And it's funny because, again, we have so much in common. It's a tie with Point Break and Red Dawn, 2 classic Patrick Swayze movies that I just could not bring myself to watch because I don't want to have somebody else's face, where Patrick Swayze's face is supposed to be. So that's my tie for the honorable mention, both Point Break remake from 2015 and Red Dawn from 2012. As much as I love Chris Helmsworth, love me some Thor, still couldn't bring myself to watch the remake of Red Dawn.
Fair enough.
That's my honorable mention. Yeah.
All right. Well, so there were a couple more movies that made me go, why did you do this? That I have not seen. So I did not see the 2008 reboot of The Women based on the 1932 movie it was Joan Crawford's big breakout movie, Norma Shearer. And I only just watched the original about 6 months ago and found it to be really, really delightful for a movie of that, that period, not all of the, classic Hollywood and all of that, but even with Meg Ryan headlining, why did we need that? And then the other one that I just kind of went like, you've got to be kidding me. And again, didn't see it, but why did they have to turn Guess Who's Coming to Dinner into Guess Who and put Ashton Kutcher in it? Just pointless, ridiculous.
I'm with you 100%.
And I'm over it. So we're moving on to our number 1 films, wondering, is it possible we have overlap again?
I promise you we have the same number 1 because we've just, shared our mutual disgust over the years and like petitioned why certain movies should never be remade. And if we had the foresight, 1998 to petition hard enough, maybe we could have convinced Gus Van Sant to not do what he did.
Yeah. And what did he do? Boy, oh boy. He remade the 1960 Alfred Hitchcock classic, Psycho, and claimed to remake it shot for shot.
No.
But he didn't, because I don't remember Anthony Perkins jacking off by pulling, when he pulled the picture off to look at Janet Leigh. But, Vince Vaughn jacking off? Yeah, no. Wrong. Everything about this movie is wrong.
Everything about it. Yeah.
Everything about it.
Julianne Moore, as much as I loved Julianne Moore, they were horrible. They were horrible in that movie. And as Vince Vaughn, you just stick to, you can do serious acting, but dear God, never again, my sweet child, never again do you do anything.
Yeah, please, Vince Vaughn should just please continue to do things like Dodgeball and Swingers and Old School, and all will be right in the world.
Yes.
I had about this much hope that with Anne Heche it might be all right, but none of it was all right. None of it was ever going to be all right. And and this is like a year after Good Will Hunting. How do you follow up Good Will Hunting with this?
I will never ever understand. And I remember because we were talking about it when we heard that Gus Van Sant was gonna do this, and we were like, oh my God. And we were big fans of Vince Vaughn at the time. And all I could think was, dear God, don't fuck this up. And oh my God, dear God, did they fuck it up? So
dear God, did they fuck it up?
All the blame doesn't go just on Gus Van Sant. It was the producer. It was the acting. It was everything was wrong with it.
Yeah. Bad, bad, bad. Okay. Well, that has wrapped up the list of the worst. Yeah. So I am going to dust myself off.
Okay.
And shake off all that nasty grossness that just happened. I feel good that we got it out of our system. So now it's time to celebrate what we think are the 5 best movie remakes out there.
Yes, I love it. Yes.
How about I start this time?
Okay, you go for it.
Okay.
I'm ready.
My number 5, and I'm a little surprised that I would say this because there's part of me that just kind of went like, oh my God, this is just George Clooney's excuse to have a frat party in Las Vegas. But I'm sorry, I'm quite fond of the remake of Ocean's 11 from 2001 with just, an ensemble cast to die for. And it is slick. It is smart. It is perfectly cast. It is funny. The whole, and Chris Carell brought this up when he and I did our favorite movies because he was quoting Scott Conn and Casey Affleck with their brother banter back and forth, like, yeah, I'm going to drop you like third period French. And I'm like laughing my tail off because everything in this movie is special and funny and slick. And I wasn't ready to buy Andy Garcia as a true bad guy because, again, this was coming off of Night Falls on Manhattan, which I think is my favorite Andy Garcia movie. But it's just it's all kinds of fun and spurred 2 sequels, Oceans 12 and 13, and I think a female version that might have been called Oceans 8. Yep. But yeah, this movie is just good, clean heist movie fun with a lot of eye candy if you're a heterosexual woman or a gay man. And why not? Right?
I do have to ask, did you see the original?
I have seen the original a couple times. Okay. Yeah, because the original is one of Charles's favorite movies. And Charles, like it's classic films or nothing. He did not want to go see this Ocean's 11 remake. But when he finally watched it, because that's what he said, like, Kris, if I were doing this countdown with you, that would be my number 1. So.
Okay. Yeah. Because the Rat Pack is hard to put anybody up against the Rat Pack. And
it's so true.
Very different ending to the 2 movies. So like it was a remake, but it was also a different version of the remake.
A bit of a reboot. Yes. A reboot. Yeah.
I think that's what like made it interesting, and like it wasn't like a carbon copy of the original, so you're like, oh, I have to keep watching this movie to find, because this is not, same concept, but kind of like a different film in
Yep.
essence, because
Yeah.
they weren't a bunch of war buddies, it was
Right.
a different story. So
Yeah, they were a manufactured crew
yeah,
that sort of came together out of,
yeah.
necessity. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So my love affair with Frank Sinatra, we'll be talking about him in future episodes. But I loved the original, loved it. But I was really it's not on my list, but it could have been on my list. So I agree with I concur. Great remake.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
And again, before you share your number 5, let me also just share that in all of these cases, at least for me, my 5 and my honorable mention are not meant to overtly slander the original. Only that these were remakes that made sense to me, were good films, and the original may not have been a fantastic film. It might have been a mediocre film, but the version, yeah. Does that make sense? Like, not trying to slam the original, just indicating that they did something right with this remake.
They either like paid absolute homage and respect to the original if the original was a classic, or took a an okay movie and made it amazing. So yeah, I'm with you. That's what makes these ones great, really.
It's so happy. Yes.
Yeah. So mine is a little off cuff. So it's a remake, but it's a remake of a Japanese movie. So The Ring from 2002, which was 1998 Ring. But in terms of if you're going to remake horror movies, that's how you do it. Naomi Watts was fantastic, and girl creeping out of the television with that wicked hair and that wicked face, just totally like the most creeped out. Like, you don't ever want to have a TV set that looks like that in your house ever again.
No.
VHS tape again in my life,
or a well that looked like that either.
No, absolutely not. So, but the movie is like, I haven't seen the original since the year 2000. So it's been forever, but I've seen The Ring a few times since, and just the right amount of creepy and horrifying that the remake was just as good as the original. So that's my 5, The Ring.
That is a good call. I like that one a lot. That was one of my scariest movies ever on the horror episode we did with your amazing children. Okay. Yeah. My number 4 is from 1991, and it is the remake of Cape Fear. The original with some super classic Hollywood people, Gregory Peck and Robert Mitchum, but the remake is a Martin Scorsese vehicle. So naturally, Robert De Niro is going to show up. And you've got Nick Nolte and Jessica Lange and Juliette Lewis's, if not her first movie, definitely her breakout film. And cameos by the 2 original stars. This movie is really scary, not like horror scary, but like, if they can write this, somebody can come up with it. So when be careful of the people that you wrong, because some of them may be like Max Cady and get out of jail and want to torture you and your family for the rest of your natural born life. There's some really uncomfortable scenes in this film.
Oh yeah.
When Robert De Niro pretends to be the acting teacher or whatever, and Juliette Lewis is very effectively a fucked up kid in this film, and Nick Nolte is kind of awkward, but trying to be the Southern boy hero and everything. And this came out the same year as Prince of Tides, so he was kind of rolling with two Southern boy films. But I mean, De Niro was just he's flawless. He's at his creepy best. Yeah, and the movie is creepy as hell. So that is my number 4.
I knew that was going to be on your list, so I intentionally did not have, partially because that's like almost a point of contention. Keith, like, hands down swears that the remake is not good. I like it. Yes. but
Okay, well, fair enough. He's entitled to his opinion, and anytime he wants to be on the show with us, he can.
he can absolutely. Okay, so my number 4 is the remake of and again, going off cuff here, a remake of a TV miniseries, but chapter 1 and chapter 2. So it's kind of a two for 2017, 2019. But the remake of the TV miniseries with John Ritter and the everybody's favorite Pennywise the Clown, Tim Curry. But the remake was very, very true to the book. It was perfectly cast. Chapter 1 was perfectly cast with the kids, but then chapter 2 with the grown-ups. I'm sorry, when you put Jessica Chastain on screen with, oh, good Lord,
James McAvoy.
Oh my God, with James McAvoy, who's my favorite. I can't, God strike me down for not remembering his name, but the casting could not have been better. They nailed the personalities. Bill Hader is freaking amazing in the chapter 2. So, but just the way they captured the character development, the fear and the fright, and then the dedication that, the kids to adults, and the denial and the absolute, dedication to killing this it. But yeah, the remake, I loved the TV miniseries, and I really, really, really loved the chapter 1 and chapter 2 together, which we're all like huge Stephen King fans in this house as it is.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No,
yeah.
That's a good call. And I tinkered with that myself and wasn't sure that I wanted to put it on my list. And I think part of it is because there is still a part of me that liked the kids in the miniseries just a tiny bit better. And it might only be because Seth Green is in it. So it might have been that Seth was the original Richie, and I clung to that. But yeah, the kid in the new movie was Finn from Stranger Things, right?
Yes. Yes.
Finn Wolfhard, something.
Yes. Oh, I love him so much.
Yeah, he's a cutie.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually prefer like John Ritter, the actor, the character he played as the adult, I preferred more than whoever played the actor for that character in the remake.
Yeah.
So fourth, like if I could pick and choose, I would have taken a combination of the two casts.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Good call. Okay, let's see. A number 3 for me. Okay, so this movie has been remade a few times, and I am jumping all over the 2018 version of A Star Is Born. The original with James Mason and Judy Garland, and that was a very well reviewed film. I think Judy Garland got an Oscar nomination.
And that's also, that was not the original. Judy Garland's was a remake too.
Oh, you're right. There's 4 versions of this movie. Oh my gosh, you are so great.
Yeah.
And then you have the Chris Christopherson, Barbara Streisand version, which I heard was pretty bad, and I have not seen it myself, but it did spawn one of the greatest movie love songs ever in Evergreen. I'm a huge fan of that song. But when I heard that Bradley Cooper was creating this version and that he was directing it and he was bringing Lady Gaga in, I was like, okay, I definitely am very interested and curious about this. And I had been at a conference the weekend that movie opened, and I basically drove straight home from that conference and went to the theater and watched that movie. Now, I have not watched it since because it is so powerful. And I don't think I could put myself through the grieving that I did.
Nope.
Small spoiler alert, somebody is going to die. But that just, I don't think I need to put myself through that again, but I don't need to see it again to appreciate how beautiful it was, how flawless the two of them were, the amazing chemistry, the music is fantastic. Sam Elliott, his first Academy Award nomination for being Bradley's. It is almost a perfect film. So that's my number.
100%. I can't watch it again. I can rewatch like the scene in the parking lot. I can rewatch her first, coming out on stage and singing "Shallow." I can rewatch those two scenes over and over and over again, but I won't watch the film again. I can't do it, and I won't do it for the exact same reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, it's too hard, and it's painful. Oh my God.
It is very hard.
So,
yeah. But it's an exceptional film. I felt like he really got robbed of the director nomination. I was highly disappointed that didn't pan out the way it did, or that panned out the way that it did. But anyway, that's my number 3, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah. Okay. So my number 3, going to totally shift gears because I went horror movies with my 5 and 4.
Okay.
My number 3 is going to be the 2019 remake of Midway from 1976.
Oh, yeah.
The story about the remake of this film. So I was out of town, and my husband took the kids to go see it in the movie theater. And he's sitting there kind of like, as things are happening in the movie, he's leaning over and kind of telling the kids like little historical bits of things that are happening in the background. Sure. And the people behind them kind of leaned forward, and Keith thought that they were going to tell him to shut up.
They wanted to hear what he had to say.
Keep talking. We want to hear what from his perspective. Keith's perspective is, in terms of movies, it's one of the most historically accurate movies in terms of all of the details, but the acting is fantastic. And I'm sorry, anything with Tom Hardy in it, I'm just going to kind of like drool over it to begin with. But besides that, from the historical perspective, it's a fantastic remake of a good movie. So I'm going to say the 1976 one is a good movie, but the 2019 is fantastic. The action sequences are amazing. And again, nowadays, if you don't do historical accuracy, you're going to get nailed for it. But they did so fantastically. So there's my number, Midway.
I was not aware that they remade Midway, and even more so, I was not aware that Tom Hardy was in it. So I'm going to have to add that to my queue somewhere.
Oh, yes, you must.
I do appreciate a good Tom Hardy film, as you do, I know. Okay, my number 2 is the 1986 version of The Fly, directed by David Cronenberg and starring Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis. I did not see the original Fly with Vincent Price, but I will say I think every blog I've read about well done movie remakes has featured this film, and it's probably is my favorite David Cronenberg film. Who in it's himself, he's such an incredible filmmaker and can kind of walk that really fine line between really weird and stupidly weird. And he stays on the side that allows him to stay a really good filmmaker. This movie is kind of funny in points and kind of terrifying, but it's so well done. And Jeff Goldblum is annoying and then endearing and then scary and then funny and then scary again. But this is another movie that when it's on, I'm gonna ride that wave out to the end because it's so entertaining to me and very, very well done.
Yeah. Well, and that's the reason why it was my number 2 as well.
Oh, shut up. Oh my God. Hilarious.
I should take a picture of my Excel spreadsheet that I have in front of me. He goes from awkward to endearing to sexy to, oh my God, what happened to you? And then, oh, you're becoming a fly. Okay.
Oh yeah. Did your nose just fall off? Ew.
But all the Jeff Goldblum isms that you have today, and the ones that they over accentuate when they portray him on SNL, or even the way he plays himself in his ridiculous apartments.com. He over accentuates the Goldblum isms, but that's where they came from. I mean,
I don't doubt that. Yeah.
You watch Jurassic Park, it's he's just replaying his character from The Fly.
Yeah, that is just another version of Seth Brundle.
Yeah, his pauses, his patterns of speech, the way he looks, the way his mannerisms. So he's and I watched that with the. I'm like, kids, if we're gonna do all the classic horror movies, you just have to watch it. You have to watch the ear come off. You have to, you have to watch him do all this stuff, and go through his metamorphosis. And then the what's the horrifying part about it? The worst part of that movie is the nightmare that Gina Davis has, where she gives birth to. No woman who's expecting a baby ever wants to have that nightmare ever.
Yeah.
So
that's basically gives birth to a mealworm.
So
pretty friggin' nasty.
And spoiler alert, the ending is like ridiculously heartbreaking. It's so sad.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it turns out it's like, this is a love story.
I was just going to say, hands. Yes, it absolutely is. It absolutely is.
So that was my number 2 as well.
Beautiful. Do you have an honorable mention?
I do. I will let you go first though. Do you?
I do. Yes. And if I would go back and do my list again, I might have even bumped this up. I don't know. A tie. I don't know. But my honorable mention, I'm going with the 1983 version of Scarface, which I finally did. I saw the original with Paul Muni. I took all these film classes when I was at Webster University, and we did watch. I'm trying to remember what course it was that I took that we watched the original, but the parallels are there. He's an Italian mobster in the original. And then Brian De Palma and Oliver Stone wrote Oliver Stone wrote the screenplay and Brian De Palma brought it to the screen. But, they made it into a Cuban migrants that are coming into the country and just, took it to 11, if you will. Iconic Al Pacino role, the chainsaw scene, still something that's really disturbing to watch. But Michelle Pfeiffer kind of overlapping from her Grease 2. That's another, big breakout performance. And Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, kind of with her poodle perm disco thing. But anyway, this is the film I think that spawned a lot of I don't want to say copycats, but I think a lot of gangster culture that is portrayed in films owes a huge debt of gratitude to Brian De Palma's version of Scarface. And Tony
so funny. It's like that was one of the number one movie posters that people would buy at college campuses, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to ask everybody that bought them, do you know that character's name? If they couldn't say Tony Montana, I'd be like, you're such a dupe. You are a tourist. You are a poser of the nth degree. So
yes. Major poser tourist. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, that's a good. I can accept that as an honorable mention. So 2 that were going to be honorable mentions, I could not put them on because they were on previous lists. So 2 really great remakes, but they were on other lists of mine: Little Shop of Horrors and The Birdcage, which those were best musical and best LGBTQ. Yeah. You hit the Star is Born. So one of my best remakes would be the 2007 Hairspray, where they took the John Waters original and actually made it into, which is a gigantic, talk about a movie that tries to spread love and tries to spread, acceptance, not just for skin color, but for body shape and for, being who you are. So the
classes too. Yeah.
And there you have Michelle Pfeiffer, playing her sexiness, and you can't stop me from watching Zac Efron ever. So he's lovely to watch. But the remake is super fun. The Broadway musical was a really good idea, and I'm sure that John Waters, would have loved it. Bless him and all of the movies that he created. Yes. So that would be my honorable mention, Hairspray.
That is a good one. Yeah, I toyed with The Birdcage as well. Yeah, I'd forgotten that was on one of your lists. Yeah. Good call. Okay, I struggled with my number 1, but after after I put it all together, I was kind of like, yeah, of course, this is my number one. And these are all the reasons why. And it makes total sense. So remaking the film Internal Affairs or Infernal Affairs, I don't remember. I'm going with 2007's The Departed, directed by Martin Scorsese, the film which finally landed this man an Academy Award for Best Director. But again, I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio has become the Scorsese muse.
Oh yes.
Following in the footsteps of Robert De Niro, who I find interesting to say that Leo's first big film role was with Robert De Niro. So this, of course, was destined to happen. But you've got, Matt Damon playing a bad guy, which is hard because, I've never thought of him as a bad guy, but he's a really shitty asshole bad guy, not a very person at all. You've got Jack Nicholson. They try to make look young, but it works. It's okay, right? And Mark Wahlberg is just Mark Wahlberg and Martin Scorsese. I'm sorry, and Alec Baldwin and Martin Sheen. Just, I mean, everybody in this movie is fantastic. It still bothers me that Leo got his Academy Award nod that year for Blood Diamond and not this film, because Mark Wahlberg was the only one that wound up getting an acting nod. But this movie is tense. It has twists and turns and surprises. It's brilliantly acted. It's flawlessly directed. It is shocking. And, what goes around comes around. And I have had, I'm not going to say nightmares, but the premise of opening my door and having Mark Wahlberg stand there with the gun in my face and little booties on his feet is a little like, I'm thinking you go through the movie and you're like, well, when is this going to happen? I haven't had that scene yet, but I remember it from the 5,000 times that I saw the trailer. And then there it is. And it's like, oh thank God, somebody is going to kill this asshole. And then, we're good. So this is probably, it's not my favorite Scorsese movie, but it's in the top 5. And it is the perfect film. Flawless and beautiful.
My favorite Mark Wahlberg film, but it's up there because I love him. I honestly, I don't think I've seen a movie that he's in that I haven't liked. I know that's like ridiculous to say, and I can say the same for Leonardo DiCaprio. I have not disliked any movie I've seen him in ever. So that's
I think I've maybe not fully appreciated a couple of the films that he's done. Like, they're not my favorites, but I would never look at a film and go, he gave a shitty performance. That just doesn't happen. And with Mark Wahlberg either, even when the point is for him to be like in The Big Hit, you're not supposed to be a smart guy, and that's okay. And even the movies that didn't get very well reviewed. When we were researching movies with live musical performance, and I remembered that Rockstar movie that he did. I want to say with Jennifer Aniston, and I remember thinking, like, I loved this movie. And then when he did the football movie about the Eagles, he was in that football. And it's like, you can do anything. You're the perfect actor because you can be funny. Hello, I Heart Huckabees. You can do action. You can do drama, and he can kind of sing. Although in Boogie Nights, he purposely sang horribly. But, it works. He can, Mark Wahlberg, you can do.
You're a big, bright star. He's a big, bright, shining star.
Big, bright, shining star.
Yeah.
I thought we were here to talk about petroleum. My God, I fucking love I Heart Huckabees. Oh, my God.
All right. So I'm just going to say, of my top 5 so far, so I've had horror, war movie, and I'm going to top it off with my number 1, another horror movie. Go figure. Bram Stoker's Dracula from 1992, a remake of the 1931 Bela Lugosi movie based on the novel by Bram Stoker. So, of course, my true love is Gary Oldman.
Yes.
And my love is Winona Ryder. And I've probably seen that movie 20 times. I love it. I love it that much. But when I actually watched the original with my kids just like a year ago, and how true it is to the novel itself. But the original is amazing. Bela Lugosi, I mean, I'm just like,
sure.
the remake, if you will, was not trying to like overshadow Bela Lugosi in any way, shape, or form, but it was just a classic retelling of the novel itself. But again, the love story of between Gary Oldman and Winona Ryder and True Love Never Dies. Just, oh God, I love it. And that probably one of the reasons why I love horror movies is because in some way, shape, or form, you're going to find something that you like emotionally attach yourself to. And, in some of those, especially the ones that are based on classic literature.
Oh, sure.
So find the same love story in Frankenstein. But anyway, so my number one, Bram Stoker's Dracula. I'll forgive Keanu Reeves for his bad accent because I still love me some Keanu Reeves. He can be my eyes, but I will forever and always be in love with Gary Oldman, period.
Gary Oldman is the classic chameleon of, I mean, that man can do anything too.
So just on Gary Oldman.
Yeah, we probably do need a top 5 Gary Oldman roles. Favorite Gary Oldman roles. Yeah, I mean, Doug and I talked about Gary Oldman at length when we did our Presidents episode because he has played a couple people that have, attempted to trump presidents, like in Air Force One and in The Contender.
Yeah,
and both of those characters look very different.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So let's recap. Let's go back and recap. Did we recap our worst or we didn't recap anything yet? No,
we recapped our worst with our,
okay.
Follow that up. And then, so I've done my top 5. So give us that's it. So recap my top 5, The Ring, It Chapter 1 and 2, Midway, The Fly, Bram Stoker's Dracula.
My top 5 honorable mention: Scarface, 5 Ocean's 11, Cape Fear, A Star Is Born, The Fly, and The Departed. Good stuff. This was a good show. This was a fun show.
This was
and we are looking at, let's see, what's coming up for Kris and Annie. We are going to do movies about college. We still need to do horror comedy and have your kids come hang out with us. I think we are doing favorite World War II films eventually as well.
Yep.
So coming soon to a podcast player near you. And of course, Heather will be back and Kris will be back and Doug will be back. And I still need to release the episode Charles and I did about classic sports comebacks. But we'll get there because, this show's not going away. Annie's not going away.
Absolutely not. I'm having too much.
I'm not going away.
No.
And Duke is not going away. Right, Duke?
Hell no.
No.
Too much fun.
Way too much fun to be had. Okay, so for Annie Pruitt, I'm Kris McPeak. If you would like to reach out to us to debate any of our lists, pitch a top 5 topic of your own, or possibly come co-host with us, you can shoot that email over to hello@thetop5podcast.com. We are signing off for this week and saying thank you for listening, as always.
Good night.
Good night.